This is News 6 Tonight.
And it is obvious one of us has been on vacation.
Oh, boy, I am.
I
have not been on top of things today.
If you watch during the countdown, you can kind of see us through the screen. Matt has one job every night, and that is to start the countdown.
Push this little button.
Because we have a certain number of minutes, and we can't go over that. And as soon as that open rolls, your job is to, boom, hit that timer.
Mm-hmm.
So we go 27 minutes. That's what we have. Feels longer sometimes, and sometimes it feels shorter. But tonight, you sat there and watched yourself on the screen. And I was like, hey, you want to get that timer?
Listen, Ginger, one of us carries the show pretty much every night.
And that's pretty much why I'm saying this to you.
If my shoulders, sometimes they get a little tired from carrying you, and sometimes I forget to push the little button to time the show.
Well, welcome back. I hope you enjoyed your time off. Happy New Year.
I did. Happy New Year to you, my friend. Let's kick 2026's booty, huh?
Okay, yeah, let's do it. And let's start by some big news that happened over the weekend. So big, we're still talking about it. I don't know about you, but when I woke up Saturday morning and saw headlines, I'm like, I put my phone on silent, and I wake up and everything is CBS News alerts.
Yeah.
I'm like, what? And I'm almost afraid to check it.
I thought the same. I was like, wait, what?
What happened?
I got mostly through my Saturday without even looking at my phone.
My
and I was
gosh.
like, wait, what?
When?
We have the Venezuelan president?
Yeah, it's such a crazy
custody?
story, and it's still unfolding, and people are still trying to make it make sense or digest it, although it's a very split community. Some people are saying, wow, this is the best thing ever, and others are like, what just happened?
Yeah, you get, and I don't think most of us as local news anchors really understand
we don't comprehend
the
it,
intricacies of what's going on in Venezuela and how it impacts America. I know there's a lot of Venezuelans who now live here in Florida. I know some of them, and it's interesting to hear their perspective on this. But yeah, the latest news regarding the capture of ousted Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro. He was in court today, facing
along with his wife,
multitude of charges. Yes, he and his wife in federal court facing some serious charges and a whole lot of prison time in a federal prison in America. So American forces pulled him out of, we're getting details from the president of what he described as a fortress there. And apparently Maduro was inside his safe room trying to get the door closed when American forces rushed in there, took him, and then got him out of the country. I've never heard of an operation like this.
Not in our lifetime.
Definitely.
I mean, yeah.
Not in our lifetime. So we wanted to get some local reaction on this, find out what people who were from Venezuela or have family in Venezuela were thinking about this situation. We sent our community correspondent, Mike Valenti, to talk with some locals with those family ties, and here's what he came up with.
Inside Nando Grill over the weekend, Elio Medina is the manager here.
Born and raised in Venezuela, and I've been here in the U.S. for 4 years.
But his family is still in Venezuela.
Are they excited that Maduro is no longer
Of course
there?
they are.
Over at De Silva Steakhouse, a projector displayed the words, Que viva Venezuela libre.
Free Venezuela. Platos tradicionales como arepas, cachapas y patacones.
24-year-old Abdonis Arenze is here from Venezuela under an asylum claim.
Saw people eating from garbage cans. All the police are crooked. They stop you for anything.
Both Arenze and Medina see Maduro's ouster as progress on the path to democracy. What that journey looks like, though, is far from clear.
At this point, we do need help from outside.
They do not want Delcy Rodriguez in charge, Maduro's vice president and now the acting leader.
You don't have any faith in Delcy Rodriguez?
No,
Why is that?
she's part of them.
I think it's going to be more of the same. I don't want her to be there. I want something new, someone like cares about the Venezuelan people.
So yeah, I think the majority of the folks you talked to who are from Venezuela thought that things were going wrong there, and this guy did seem like a dictator to them. Now the question for a lot of Americans is, should we really be entering other countries, taking a dictator
Does
or
that
not?
set a precedent for then other countries to then do something else? I mean, I feel like other people around the world, they're looking at this saying, what will happen next? And this is why I love local reporting, because we can have someone like a Mike Valenti go out and talk to someone. Because you would think if you don't know the situation, you sometimes think, oh, they must be glad to have this guy out of office or out. And then you talk to another faction and they're like, no, what's happening? Leave everything the way it is and it's fine. And that's why we go out and do the reporting, because you hear from both sides, and there's so many. There's just so much we don't even still understand.
And they follow it so closely.
Yes.
You have family there, or you came from
Absolutely.
there. So fascinating. I don't know about you, but one of the most interesting things about whenever there is something like this that happens, or say there's some Al-Qaeda guy who gets killed overseas or taken.
I don't know how it unfolded.
I always have to know how. So the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff said at the news conference that they rehearsed these maneuvers for months.
Yeah.
They learned everything about Maduro. They knew where he was going to be, what he ate, what his pets were that he had, what clothes he would be wearing. And they knew he was probably going to go into this safe room. So they had this crazy torch that could cut through that kind of metal to even pull him out of there. And they practiced in a building that was a replica exactly of that fortress he lived in.
This isn't an operation that you think about on Wednesday and then carry it out on a Saturday. You have put a lot of thought, because a lot of lives are on the line in something like this too. I would recommend people, there's a Netflix documentary, and it's about the capture of Osama bin Laden and how long they watched him and how even just his shadow on the ground.
They figured out how tall he was. They took DNA samples by pretending to be immunizers.
Isn't that crazy?
Nuts.
And so operations like this unfold, and it is always fascinating what happens behind the scenes. And there's a reason we don't know about it beforehand, because guess what we do? We give it away.
Right.
But it's still a lot to learn about this story.
Still a big court case to take place, and we'll have to see what happens with Venezuela and what does this mean for places like Mexico?
Sure.
We've often accused them of peddling drugs and pushing drugs across.
It's
the
an onion
border.
of a story, that's for sure.
It'll be interesting.
All right, another story that we have been covering for going on a week now. We started covering it New Year's Eve, I believe, is when this happened. It's a crazy story coming out of Flagler County. It's an 11-year-old boy who was found with a known sex offender. He's a registered sex offender, and it was during a traffic stop that they discovered that this child, who had been reported missing days earlier, was in the company of this 60-year-old man. And thank goodness they were able to stop him, and they were able to rescue this young boy. And when investigators talked to him, we went over this Friday, when they talked to the 11-year-old, he told them just a nightmarish story about how he was taken, how he was drugged and just tied up at this camp with this older man. And now we know that the person who drove this guy's truck away from this traffic stop was a 15-year-old who was with this 60-year-old and this 11-year-old boy. They're trying to figure out how this 15-year-old may have played a role in helping that 60-year-old man lure that child to be with them. It is just such a crazy story, and it's hard to wrap your brain around. Our community correspondent, Molly Reed, has more.
Flagler County Sheriff Rick Staley says an 11-year-old St. Johns County boy was rescued by Flagler deputies after saying he was tied up, drugged, and given alcohol by registered sex offender Darnell Hairston. The sheriff sharing this video, he says, shows the New Year's Eve traffic stop on US 1 where Hairston was found with a child and a 15-year-old in his truck. He says it shows Hairston running from the deputies, trying to grab a deputy's gun. At the same time, the 15-year-old jumped back in the truck and led deputies on a chase, ramming a patrol car before crashing.
My detectives and I personally believe he's a co-conspirator to the kidnapping.
Sheriff Staley says the victim was in a Snapchat group with the teen. The boy said in the chat he thought Hairston sexually assaulted his friend, so deputies say the teen helped lure him to Hairston, who feared the boy might have incriminating info. The boy said Hairston choked him until he passed out, then tied him up with duct tape over his mouth.
The 11-year-old truly felt that he was going to die that night.
The boy said he was held for days in the woods where Hairston lived and forced to travel on the floorboard of the truck covered by a blanket.
Yeah, and the sheriff also went on to say that Hairston lived in a rural area where he would help fix these kids' ATVs, gaining even further trust, saying like, "Hey, I'm a helpful guy. Your ATV needs fixing. I just fixed it, so now we're friends, and maybe you owe me something." It is just one of those.
It's a hellish
Oh,
story.
it's awful. And he said that was the perfect breeding ground for something like that to happen because they're not around a whole lot of people. But if not for that traffic stop, who knows where that 11-year-old would be right now or what would have happened to him further.
Interesting to see the sheriff talk about charging this 15-year-old as a co-conspirator. Clearly, they were upset that he drove away in that car and tried to get away. And who knows how he's involved in this. But, you know,
I just think
with somebody that age also around this guy.
There's a huge influence by the 60-year-old, you think.
Yeah.
And you got to think that kid
You wonder what this 15-year-old's been going through as well.
Exactly.
I don't want to jump to any conclusions either way, but obviously the sheriff is pushing toward charging him with some big things, and maybe he should be. But
I think once everybody cools down, cooler heads will prevail, and they'll further interview this 15-year-old and figure out that maybe the same thing that was happening to this 11-year-old may have happened to this 15-year-old. So.
All right, let's talk about vaccine recommendations for kids. This was a big talker today. The change is happening. These recommendations are changing for kids, meaning that the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention is now changing their recommendations. So first off, as we tell this story, I want to say you can still get whatever vaccinations you want. This is just the government
new guidelines
recommending what you do, which a lot of people follow, a lot of people don't follow. So it now recommends that all children get vaccinated against 11 particular diseases. What's no longer broadly recommended is things like the flu, the rotavirus, hepatitis A, B, some forms of meningitis, or RSV. Protections against those diseases are now only recommended for certain groups deemed high risk. So all the rest of them, they're still recommended. The government still thinks you should get them, and all these other ones you will still have access to, and your insurance, they say, will still cover those as well, which is an important factor of this. Yes, but it does change the way people look at these. And I was interested to try to look up what other countries do, because we always hear the U.S. does.
It's just going to be,
Oh, did you look at the same thing?
Well, Denmark, because they use Denmark as their point, but they say that Denmark is not a good country to use because they have very low vaccination rates and very low diseases there, but they have basically free health care, they're saying. So you can't compare. It's like comparing apples and oranges. So you need a country that is more similar to the United States that probably has seen some success, not Denmark. Did you look up Denmark?
Yeah, well, so I did hear Denmark get named, but in 2024, this is according to the government's website. So, obviously they're wanting to prove things, their case. The U.S. recommended, they say, more childhood vaccine doses than any other peer nation, and more than twice as many as some European nations, which is true. There are different situations with health and what kind of pockets they have as far as diseases. But I guess what they're trying to say is the U.S. has always been a little more hyper focused on the vaccines. Some people will say that's because drug companies have outsized power and they've pushed for many of these vaccines that are maybe more rare or something that, like a hepatitis that you might not find as often in an
Yeah.
infant or a child. So that's a big change
Yeah,
for America.
I just think it's something that we have to worry about or had to worry about simply because so many people come from so many different places to the United States. So we have to protect ourselves from wherever people come from and whatever diseases they may have that we don't have. So we're just kind of, okay, now we're all protected if we get a vaccine. But, still, it's your choice. No one's saying don't get your child vaccinated. You can do it still the way you've done it all these years, the way you did it when you were in elementary school or whatever. But the U.S. Health Secretary, Robert F. Kennedy, he said, quote, "This decision protects children, respects families, and rebuilds trust in public health." And that is one of the big things he said he wanted to do, rebuild trust in public health.
Yeah, and again, recommendations. It's not It's not outlawing vaccines. You can still get them for your children.
That's
if
the
you
thing.
choose.
That's the bigger headline.
Yeah. All right, which is not the headline you often see
Yeah, no.
if you watch. But that's what you get here. We try to give it a little balanced
It
look
is what it
at
is,
the
man.
news. Yes. All right. Hey, coming up after the break, we're going to take a quick break here. Pay some
Oh my
bills,
gosh.
as they say.
Yeah. One of my favorite stories we're going to talk about is the importance of the honeybee and
Oh,
how.
look how excited she gets. I know we've got honeybee. I looked up honeybee facts.
I got a sheet of facts.
Bring it
and-
on. My facts will crush your facts.
Okay, we're going fact for fact when we come back.
All right.
Yeah, and he got the link from the show just a little while ago, I think. So we'll make sure we have that for News 6 tonight. Hey, thanks for stopping by. We know you're busy, but news doesn't stop, and neither do we.
That's right. And this is News 6 Tonight, where we leverage this entire busy newsroom with our community correspondents, our producers, our content desk, and then we filter through that. We have a casual conversation about the news that impacts Central Florida.
Yeah, we live here in the community, and we rely on you for our neighborhood network because you're our eyes and ears as well, and we can't do it without you.
So you can watch us all over the place, YouTube, News 6 Plus app, and clickorlando.com. While you're here, feel free to engage. Let us know who you are and where you're from.
Welcome back to News 6 Tonight, everyone. Hopefully you're having a great Monday and a great start to the week and a great start to a brand new year because for a lot of people, they had the end of the year off, so they're just getting back into the
This
swing
is true.
of things.
Kids go back to school tomorrow for most
Yeah,
places.
today was a teacher workshop for a lot of places. Yeah.
Yes. So I'll be getting up at 8 in the morning to take my little bean back to 4th grade.
Oh, you love doing it, though,
I
and
do,
she
yeah.
loves having you take her. So I hear you talk about how that's really just one of your delightful things.
One of the best parts of the day.
I know.
Even though I
love
barely
that.
remember it because I'm so tired.
It's fine. She remembers it. That's all that matters. Hey, I am not a big gambler. Some people would say that
That's an understatement. Have you ever gambled on anything?
No, somebody went to Vegas recently and I gave them $5. I'm like, do what you will with this, but make sure I get my $5 back.
That
Or
means
whatever.
don't gamble with it.
So anyway, since 2023, December of 2023, Floridians have had only one way to place wagers, one legal way to place wagers on sports, and that's through the Hard Rock Bet app. Right, you can carry it around in your hand. It's
Right.
on your phone, right? But does Hard Rock now have some new competition? Our News 6 investigator, Donovan Myrie, takes a look at how another place may have found possibly a loophole.
DraftKings is a major player in the sports betting scene, holding about 34% of the space. On January 1st, DraftKings announced their new predictions platform had rolled out sports selections, about 2 weeks after the DraftKings Predictions app went live in 38 states, including Florida. Let's compare DraftKings predictions against the Hard Rock Bet app for the regular season finale between the Jaguars and the Titans played on Sunday. The two apps look pretty similar, right? And that's the whole point. But how can DraftKings offer essentially the same wagers as Hard Rock Bet if DraftKings isn't allowed to operate in Florida per the state's gaming compact? Well, that's because prediction markets are regulated and function differently than sports books. In the traditional sportsbook model, bettors put their money up against an entity like a casino. But in prediction markets, users purchase different sides of an event contract, kind of like a game of yes or no. And instead of going up against a casino, users go up against each other.
Okay, so to recap, it's different.
You didn't understand. Ginger never does any sort of gambling. Can I tell you, so he's talking about prediction markets.
Yeah.
Okay, which is a fascinating thing. If you watch 60 Minutes, they did a piece on a thing called Polymarket the other day. There's another website, an app called Kalshi, and these are apps in which you can bet on future outcomes of news.
I saw this.
I am fascinated by this.
I don't even
As
understand
a person who's
this.
interested in news, you
How?
can actually bet on things
It makes
like,
no sense.
will the Russia-Ukraine war end in 2026? There are odds, you bet it, and you almost own it like a stock. And if something happens to where the war is maybe going to end, your stock will, and you bet for the war to end, your stock will go up and you can sell it. Or
Can
the
I
opposite.
say that this makes me feel bad to my core because we're talking about real lives? That
Yeah,
just
that's
makes
a
me
fair.
feel bad.
That's absolutely fair.
Like we're betting on people's lives. Like, will this be because we know what's happening over there, and
People are dying.
Yes.
Yes.
And so we're betting.
There's a real ethical dilemma.
It's different than
with it.
sports. You know,
Mhm.
somebody will get a broken leg or hurt something, but these are lies. That just makes me feel ick. It gives me the ick.
I understand that. There's also other ones like who's going to be the vice presidential nominee for the Democrats,
get that.
or who's
I
going
get
to,
that.
things like the prediction markets. And these markets are more accurate than all the political pundits and the pollsters. Like
Maybe it's the new polling.
When the last election came, and when the polls say somebody's going to win and the other person wins, the prediction market actually nailed the last presidential election because people are betting. And you know that? Did you ever do that exercise in science class where they put like the ball, the jar of marbles or something in there, and then they have everybody guess
how much?
And if you have enough people, you will get it almost right.
Yeah.
Which is kind of crazy.
But
So
you
that's
have
the
the
idea of
odd. You
prediction.
increase the odds. Yes.
Right, but so there are more people doing it, but like you would think you would still get it wrong, you would miss it, but when you give people's opinions, like a vast number of them, the statistics show that you're going to be correct.
I just want the people who are betting on things like this to maybe go outside and do some real stuff.
Maybe they do. Maybe they do, but they just like betting on stuff.
I
don't know.
I'm not trying to poo-poo it. It's fine.
It's
Okay.
interesting. Okay, I know. We'll get to the story that you're interested. It's funny that you got the betting story and I got the bee story.
I know. I don't know.
tonight.
I
you're
did
so
a poor
mad
job.
about
I
it.
really am.
So, Florida apiary, which you taught me, is where they have beehives.
Yeah.
Like not an aviary, like with
Yeah,
birds.
it's birds. Yeah.
Is really apparently very important to growing food all across our beautiful country. We know bees are vital to the food supply.
Everything.
They say that if the bees go away, we die.
Within 4 years.
I don't know if
Einstein said it.
I don't think that's true.
They pollinate. Think about everything you eat.
I know, I agree, but you don't think in that 4 years that we'd figure out like how to work without the bees?
I've met people. No. They'd be betting on how soon we die.
I think we would survive.
No, they'd place bets on it.
The Polymarket says we survive. Flowing Gold Apiaries sends these bees from Florida all over the country. So one of our stations, our sister stations in West Palm Beach, profiled these busy little bees.
These bees don't just make honey, they make farming possible.
I grew up with bees. My grandfather had bees, my dad had bees, and my brother and I had bees.
What started as a hobby turned into a business in partnership with farmers across Florida.
Everything we eat pretty much gets pollinated by bees, so they're just so helpful. They're servants.
Right now, her bees are working across 5 Florida counties, including St. Lucie, Indian River, and Okeechobee. helping crops grow during peak season.
You have to line up your schedule for the bees for every farmer differently so that they're right there at peak blossom.
Soon the bees.
Logistically, that has to be so hard. But such a cool story. Give me one bee fact. I know you have to do it.
Okay, so
Quick.
Okay, bees are essential pollinators. 1 out of every 3 bites of your food depend on the pollination of bee. 1 out of every 3 bites.
Bees are so clean, they leave the hive to use the restroom. That's
Bees
interesting.
recognize faces of humans.
True story. All right, I recognize the face. Meteorologist Jonathan Kagas joins us now, right now.
Boom, I know that face.
Hey, man,
He doesn't
Ginger
look
has
happy.
been extra
busted.
chatty tonight, getting out from vacation, so we only have a little bit. But give us the quick weather cliff notes.
Well, I guess we don't have a lot of time anyway because someone forgot to start the timer, or the countdown
you
clock.
have been watching.
So, yeah, full circle moment. Hey, it's warm outside. We had some fog. There's going to be more fog tonight. Coming up at 9:30, though, we are going to look a little long range. It's our long range segment. And we're going to see how long this warmth. We could break records later on in the week, but there's some cooler air looming. So we'll talk about how cool that is and how long that may last, guys, in our long range segment at 9:30.
I like it.
That's the headline I want, the cool down coming back.
Yeah, me
Jonathan,
too.
we'll see you at 9:30.
You're the man,
Thank
Jonathan.
you, sir.
Check him out. He's got a great show right after this one at 9:30. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back. Welcome to News 6 Tonight. We are so thankful that you're joining us here wherever you found us.
Yeah, you know what this tells me? If you have made this your new streaming destination, it tells me you're smart. Also good looking because you chose to watch the news in a different way. That makes you really smart. Anybody can give you the news from a teleprompter or an old newspaper. We do it in a fresh new way.
That's right. So check us out wherever you like to stream. We have this app for your TV, News 6 Plus. You can find it on Roku and Amazon and whatever your smart TV is cooking. So thank you. We would love to hear your comments down below.
My gosh. Yeah.
And then we'll show them.
Yeah, we will. News 6 Plus. The plus is you.
Ooh.
All right, so we are out of time at News 6 tonight. Boy, how time flies, but we have another newscast coming up for you streaming on News 6 Plus at 10 o'clock, I should say, where in the Sanford area, I guess you'd call it a fish kill, but hundreds of dead fish have been found, and they can't quite figure out
construction
what they're trying to figure. We have our reporter trying to figure out what that is. And also the iconic Lake Eola swans. Almost a dozen of them have died recently.
I think it's up to 20.
Oh my gosh. And so now they have made the connection. We thought it was bird flu. They've confirmed, but what you need to know about what's happening with those swans and how they're going to protect them moving forward.
Good stuff. We'll see you coming up at 10 and 11 o'clock.